because the only reason you're the vice president is because the current president tried to have his last president killed.
Sorry, what the did she just say? Now, guys, we're going to check in on the latest political drama, and it all started when the Vice President, JD Vance, took the stage at Turning Point USA's American AmFest, their big conference they just had with all sorts of speakers from across the right-wing spectrum that made a ton of headlines, frankly. They know how to do conferences in a way that will get people's attention. And when the Vice President spoke about Jasmine Crockett, the bombastic left-wing media darling and Congresswoman from Texas, who's currently running for the Texas Senate, or for the Senate seat for Texas in the upcoming 2026 election, he called her out and called out her street girl persona, which has inevitably led to racism accusations against the vice president. And she is, of course, playing the victim. But I'm not quite buying it. And I think you'll see why. I think you'll agree with me. But first, here's that clip from JD Vance.
Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
So I'm sorry, but he just does not have, as the kids would say, zero riz detected. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't have the charisma. He's not funny like Trump is. And I don't love the vice president of the United States commenting on someone's fake nails. It was supposed to be a joke, but it wasn't particularly funny. I don't know. I maybe we could try to rise above a little bit, but I know I'm going to sound naive and take the high road and let's critique ideas and not people's appearances or whatever when you're the sitting vice president of the United States. But y'all can roll your eyes at me. I know I'm that's not how we do things anymore. But anyway, like, I'm not scandalized by anything he said. It's just kind of par for the course. But apparently it was a racist attack, guys, because he pointed out that she has like a fake street girl persona. And while that is an obvious observable fact to anyone with eyes and ears, it's also apparently racist because she's black or so. I don't know. I'm sick of this. But Jasmine Crockett loves to play the victim. Anytime somebody like her gets attacked or criticized, the liberal media outlets will run with the same narrative. Here she is on MS Now, which is the new name of MSNBC, playing the victim. Let's watch.
The fact that he said I have a quote-unquote street girl persona, I'm sorry, but anybody that you talk to knows my credentials. They know that I've gone to school. They know that I'm educated. I never tried to put on some random story about where I came from.
That's not the point. There's more here, and it gets crazier. But, like, he never claimed you weren't educated. He never claimed that you lied about your backstory. He claimed that you performatively embrace a trashy form of talking, which you do, and that it's fake, and it's a shtick, and it's dishonest. And that's all true. I'm sorry, it's just true. Now, what that has to do with anything she just said, because she was asked to respond to this, the vice president, has nothing. She's just responding with a response that's not even addressing the point that JD Vance made. And then it got weird. Listen to this.
Came from, but at the end of the day, I am who I am and I am authentic. And that is actually what they are fearful of, is my authenticity, because it rings true with every single American, whether they're a Texan or not. It rings true that I am fighting for real everyday people. And instead of talking about policy, when you're talking about the record speaks for itself, baby, let's talk about your record. Because the only reason you're the vice president is because the current president tried to have his last president killed. Let's talk about qualifications.
Sorry, what the did she just say? She said the only reason you're vice president, speaking about JD Vance, is because the current president tried to have his last president, she meant vice president, killed? Did I just miss the part where that happened? Mike Pence, thank God, is alive and well. Now, what I think she's referencing, I'll try to explain the incoherent word battle and nonsense she just put out here, I think she's speaking about Mike Pence, who was, of course, Trump's vice president during his first term, and who, during the January 6th riot, some of the crazies who were trying to overturn the election and storm the Capitol were going after him and chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," or whatever. But Trump never tried to have anyone killed. He never told anyone to hurt Mike Pence. That's not a thing. You could criticize lots of what Trump did and said about Mike Pence and about that day, but that's not a thing, so you just sound crazy. But of course, MSNBC or MS Now didn't fact check or query her on that. They're just nodding along and being like, yes, preach, girl. Go off, queen. Ugh.
Qualifications. Listen, I'm staying focused. I'm not going to be distracted. And when they can tell me about their policies that are helping Texans, then we can have a conversation. Until then, take whatever shots you want to take at me, because I have been a black woman my entire life. I promise you, there are other people just like JD Vance who have tried to do the same racist tropes my entire life. And somehow I ascended and became a U.S. Congresswoman. It will not be different when I become a U.S. Senator. And we can have a conversation when I get to the Senate floor if he wants to talk.
Well, I can promise you, or I can say with near certainty, never say never, I guess, that conversation won't be happening because Jasmine Crockett's not going to become a senator. She might win the Democratic primary and become the Democratic nominee, but then she will lose the Texas statewide Senate election in 2026. I mean, she's just such a uniquely divisive and toxic person. The idea that she's going to win a state that Trump won by like almost 15 points is just, even in an election in 2026 where Democrats will have the headwinds because it's the midterm after a presidential election and usually the opposite party than the one that's in power does better, she's still not going to take that seat. So she's delusional in my view on that. But more importantly, I'm so sick of this bullshit where you're going to label things racist tropes that are just obviously true, because I see a genuine rise in racism and racial sentiment right now that I'm very bothered by. And part of the reason that happened is because you'll just cry racism. It's like the boy who cried wolf, but it's the girl who cried victim and cried racism. Because when JD Vance says that you adopt, when it's convenient, a street girl persona, that is not a racist trope against you. That is an observable fact you have repeatedly demonstrated in Congress, Jasmine. You pretend to be all street and all tough and you talk with slang and then you go back to your polished Congresswoman mode 5 minutes later when it's convenient. I don't care, but don't tell us we're racist for observing that. I'm going to play you a clip of her and then you'll see what I'm talking about. This is her on the House floor in a committee meeting. Listen to this.
Ms. Green, for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's?
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
I'm trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those words.
I had no idea what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
You just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
Voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what
y'all
do. So I'm trying to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Ms.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your yelling.
You don't want
calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk noise, and then
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look, Chairman,
come and talk shit about her, y'all gonna have a problem.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chair.
Okay.
Order. Chair now recognizes.
I'm sorry. You're going to be on the House floor and you're going to say, y'all want to talk noise, but y'all be talking shit. And you're going to, and then if somebody says that you adopt at times a street girl persona, you're going to say that's a racist trope. No, that is an observable fact. And a fact cannot be racist, Jasmine. And your victim script is exhausting. And once again, claiming victimhood and screaming racism where it does not exist is a big part of why we're in the mess where we are, where people who are actually freaking racist, like Nick Fuentes, are all of a sudden gaining mainstream acceptance because you guys have watered down the significance of these accusations and these charges to weaponize them as a shield from criticism that you actually deserve and from much needed accountability of your bad behavior and cheap gimmicks. But of course, I can't say I'm surprised by this development. Can't say I'm surprised to see liberal media outlets parrot it and nod along, because any excuse to call JD Vance racist. And guys, I'm certainly not above criticisms of JD Vance. I've got plenty myself, but this isn't one of them. Do I think he should have commented on her nails? No. Do I think he needed to go after her? Not really, but he certainly wasn't racist, and he wasn't really wrong either. So that's my take on all this drama, but it's good for both of them. That's what you need to understand. Our country gets worse through all these spots and this drama. No meaningful issues or problems get solved, but it's great for JD Vance. He gets positive media coverage and attaboys and his brand built up, and it's great for her because she gets the resistance, liberal love, and plaudits and donations. And meanwhile, just the whole country gets a little dumber. That's like the spiral, the death spiral our politics is in and our culture war is in. But other than that, we're doing amazing. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the like button and all of that. And that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to rate and review the show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to audio podcasts. And have an amazing Christmas, everybody. And we'll talk again after the holidays.